Vulvodynia Mob Justice. Pretty proud to be part of this album. It's the first album I'm playing with Vulvodynia, and it's got quite a cool album theme. It's based on African brutality and a lot of issues that really happen around here, which are pretty horrific. The previous album focused, like psychosadistic design, had more the horror element and the torture element, and we had some of the alien albums, and I think this is a good one to kind of show where we're from and the kind of things that happen, like people are afraid to talk about these things. That's what metal's about. The playground for us is the part of the life that people don't want to go to, and Africa has a lot of that. There's a lot of killing, there's a lot of genocide, there's a lot of addiction, a lot of rape, a lot of shit that people don't want to talk about. And I think this album touches a couple of those issues, and we kind of color it in a bit with our horror imaginations. The process for recording this album, we tracked most of it here at my studio in South Africa at Tempore Studios, and we started with Luke's guitar parts. That went pretty fast, 3 or 4 days. Quite a fun process. We used the ESP Viper and Schecter Loomis, and Chris came in as well, flew up from Cape Town. Also took about 3 or 4 days max. He recorded everything with his Ormsby 8-string, was absolutely incredible sounding. I did the bass parts with the trusty old Dingwall over here, had it on the humbucker setting, and used a pretty hard pick here, which is my signature stuff. Yeah, I did getting an aggressive sound on the bass as well. I think all of us got quite an aggressive sound from the guitars. We was tracking straight into the UAD stuff, so the preamps are super clean. We also did the vocals here, so we used the SM7B for the vocals, which is classic metal mic, and we had a tube condenser on top just to have like 2 mics, one for punch and one for sibilants. And this is being sent off to Andrew from Brojob. They're busy mixing it at the moment, and we'll be sending it off for mastering after that. Really amped about this album. I think we did a really good job, a really brutal job in the performances. I remember getting Duncan in here, and I thought we had to do a lot of processing on his vocals and like distortions and pitch shift to get it sounding as heavy and as badass as it does. But Duncan's really a monster. He came in here, he started singing, and my jaw dropped to the floor. I couldn't believe the sounds that kid was making with his skull. It's incredible. So yeah, I think a lot of us, we put our flavor in there. Tom also wrote the drums like he plays them, and I think a lot of us, it will be coming through the album, and I'm pretty happy about that. I mean, we're all a bunch of evil, brutal, hard-hitting kids, I guess. Angry. I don't know. As with every process, I mean, it did take a couple of weeks. With this band, not a day goes by that something funny doesn't happen. Like, it's the craziest bunch of people I've hung out with in a long time. When we were tracking Luke, it was great. Luke's a cutie pie. We had a lot of cool, funny moments, and a lot of moment. That was cool. Getting Chris in here also, I mean, watching him play guitar for me is absolutely amazing. He's got such a refreshing take, and he's so inspired and playing all the time, but he's such a goofball. Chris constantly makes jokes and he laughs at everything he does, so I mean, that's always funny. But I think the funniest moment had to be when we were tracking the vocals. Duncan, he was singing here, I couldn't remember which song specifically, but my neighbor had a meeting with some film people which turned into a bit of wine drinking, and the one lady got really drunk, and she walked out here for some reason and started taking a piss in front of the studio door, pulled down her pants and took a piss. We looked at her and we were kind of in shock, and then she turned to Leisha, Duncan's girlfriend, and asked if she could take a poo. And I mean, this shit you can't make up. This doesn't happen every day. So I mean, that kind of threw us off. We're trying to be as evil and as brutal as we can be, and this lady wants to take a piss and shit outside the studio door. That's pretty crazy. Other than that, it went really smooth. We've got a great bunch of guys working on it. Tracking the bass was fun. I always laugh at my own jokes. Maybe I could play God one day, because I'm sure if there is a God, he'd be laughing at his own stupid jokes. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to be cool.